Today I am here at Kim's Pianos in Stanton, California, reviewing a brand of piano that it's been quite a long time since I have reviewed them. It's been several years, I believe. The piano that I'm sitting at right in front of is a Shigeru Kawai. It's the SK7, and it's a very fine piano. The piano that's over here is also a Shigeru Kawai SK7, and it too is a very fine piano, but in a different way. And so in today's video, I'm going to be doing a comparison between this SK7, which is a few years old, and that SK7, which is brand new out of the box, and we're going to be seeing what has changed with Shigeru Kawai and what differences they might be making in their pianos. I think it's going to be very interesting. Now, before I get started on this, I wanted to make a disclaimer. I wanted to make an announcement about the way that we are recording these pianos, because the last time I did a comparison here, it actually happened to be at this very same store, I had a few complaints about the way that people believed I was miking the pianos, and therefore they felt that the comparison was going to be inaccurate. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about how we're miking the pianos and why this is, in fact, a very accurate comparison. The equipment that we're going to be using in today's video is going to be in the exact same place on both pianos, and the gain is going to be set up the exact same way for both pianos. So any differences in volume or in tone are actually truly going to be in the piano and not because of the microphone placement. I'm not using the camera mic for either my voice or the pianos. The microphone that's built into the camera is honestly very poor, and I haven't used the camera mic in many, many years. I've been using lapel mics and piano mics for a very long time now. And that's true with the other comparisons that I've done and many, many other of my videos. They're all using lapel mics and piano mics on the piano. So when you're hearing the piano playing, it's coming through the microphone on the piano, and when you're hearing me talk, it's not the camera mic. So that's what I wanted to talk about, and the way we're miking them also definitely eliminates almost all of the room sound. So the natural reverb that's in the room, this is a rather large, what do I want to call it? A very large display room. There's lots of pianos out here on display, very large showroom. And so there's going to be some echo. I just heard a phone ringing down there, and the way that we're miking these pianos, as well as myself, eliminates a lot of that sound. So the fact that this piano is next to a window and the fact that the other piano is in a corner facing into the room really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the piano is facing on the north end of the room or the south end of the room or the east end of the room. As long as it's facing into the room, the way we mic the pianos really doesn't have an effect on the positioning of the piano. The only time it really makes a difference is when the piano is opening up directly into a wall, because then sound is bouncing directly back and it basically almost doubles the volume of the piano. That's not the case here. That's not what's going on. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the way we're miking these and the reason that this is going to be a very accurate comparison. Now, without any further ado, let's get into talking about the pianos. I think this is going to be a really, really interesting comparison. Several years ago, it started back in 2016, I became, at the time, I was a very large fan of Shigeru Kawai, and I really enjoyed the warm sound that those pianos had at the time. The SK7 and the SKEX in particular had a very warm, lush, lovely sound, and I really was in love with that tone at the time. And this piano would date from that time period. This would be when Shigeru Kawai was truly going for a very warm, rich tone. The piano over here is a little bit newer, and I'm hearing a few differences. While the piano still is excellent, the action is wonderful, and the overall tone is very nice, I am hearing some differences. It's a bit brighter, it's a little bit more harsh, but there is a benefit to that, and I will show you the benefit to that a little bit later on in the video. But without any further ado, let me get along to playing these pianos. What I'm going to do first is play a few selections of soft, quiet pieces to demonstrate the warm, lush tones of this piano as well as the other one. I hope you enjoy. So I hope you enjoyed that selection of short, quiet, gentle pieces on this piano. A lot of people ask what the pieces that I play are. So the first one was an original test piece that I wrote to test out the treble region of a piano. The second one was the first Bach prelude from the, what's it called? The Well-Tempered Clavier. The third piece that I played was a little excerpt of Debussy's Clair de Lune, and the last and final piece that I played was another test piece I wrote to test out the bass end of pianos. So I hope you enjoyed those selection of pieces on this Shigeru Kawai. When I was interested in them back in the 2016 era, I was interested in purchasing one for my recording studio. And while that didn't happen for a number of reasons, I can imagine that you can hear this and definitely tell why I was interested in buying them. They have a lush, warm, rich tone that really is pleasant to listen to, and the action is, of course, very wonderful as well. It's the Millennium 3 action. It uses carbon fiber and composite parts, and many people say that has a number of benefits over a wooden action. It certainly has a very nice feel. Now let's go over and try the other Shigeru Kawai, and I'll play the exact same selection of pieces, and then I will play some loud stuff for you in a little bit as well. Hope you enjoy. So as you can hear, there definitely is a difference between these two pianos. In many ways, they are very, very much alike. They both have an excellent action, they both have a wonderful, rich-sounding bass, and they both also look gorgeous. But there is also a massive difference between them, and that difference is tonally. This one over here, which as I've said is a few years old, it probably is from that time period when I was highly interested in these pianos. It has that lush, warm, rich tone that I remember. This one over here, which is brand new and basically right out of the box, has a much different tone. It's a lot more direct, it has a lot more overtones in it, it's a lot brighter, and it's a little bit more harsh to my ears. However, there is a little bit of a benefit to that as well, and I will get to that in a few minutes. But now let me do a few little side-by-side immediate comparisons between these two pianos, and I think you will definitely hear a difference. Okay. Massive, massive difference, especially in the low end here. This one here is very warm and very soft, and this one over here is a bit brighter. Let's try out the treble end as well. Let's try a different chord here. Nice, it sounds really good. It's got the bright end up here, and the high treble is very bright. And the rest of it also has a very nice sound, but let's try the other Shigeru, the newer one. See if I can play the exact same voicing here. There's not as much of a difference in the treble region of these two pianos, but there still is some. It's a little bit more pure up here in this region. And it's very, very bright and sparkly here. So what could be the reasoning behind these changes? Well, first of all, I wanted to mention that if some of you guys have told me to do this in some other videos. You've written some comments that have told me to do this, where someone blindfolds me and takes me around to a piano store and has me sit down and guess what a piano is. Well, if you did that to me with this piano, if you put a blindfold on me, set me in front of this piano and said, tell me what this is, I honestly would probably guess Yamaha. The tone of it really reminds me of some of the older Yamahas that I found where they're a little bit more bright and a little bit more direct sounding, and that could be part of the reason why Shigeru Kawai is going towards that sound. Yamahas are very, very popular. There's many people who love them, and perhaps Shigeru Kawai felt that their older, more warmer sound was a little bit too dissimilar to most of the other pianos on the market, and wanted to make it a little bit more normal. That could be one reason. But I think the other reason that they're changing the sound and they're making it a little bit brighter, actually a lot brighter and a lot more powerful, is that exact reason, is power. While these pianos are often used in recording studios, another place that you can find a Shigeru Kawai would be in a concert hall where you'd be playing alongside an orchestra, and you would need a lot of power to be able to compete with an orchestra. And while the warm, rich, lush, mellow tone is really wonderful, in my opinion, for recording, for performing in a concert hall when you're playing with the full orchestra, it's not as good. It's not going to come through. So let me play a different piece. I'm not going to play it all the way through, I don't think, but I will play part of it. Let me play a nice loud piece on here that will really demonstrate the difference in power between these two pianos. And then I think you'll really hear the difference. Let's do that. As I said earlier, many people have been asking me to review a Shigeru Kawai, and also another common request is that people often ask me to play louder music in my videos. So I'm going to be playing an excerpt of the third movement of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata on both of these pianos. It's a very good test piece for playing loud and quick. It's a good test for the action, and it's also a good test for the piano. And that, I think, is another area where you will definitely see a large difference between these two pianos. This one, again, is the older Shigeru. It has the warm, rich sound that I used to remember, and the newer one is behind me, and it has a more brighter, powerful tone. So let's see how a little bit of the third movement of Moonlight Sonata sounds. I won't play the whole thing because it is like a 5-minute long piece, just the third movement alone, and the video is already pretty long. So I'll only play a small segment of it, but I do hope you guys enjoy it anyways. So you can definitely hear a difference there between these two pianos, and I definitely enjoy playing that piece more on this piano. I almost kept going because it was a lot of fun to play, but I remembered that I had stopped there on the other piano. It would only be fair to stop in the same section on this piano as well. But I really wanted to keep going because playing this piano, playing that type of music really is a lot of fun. And I really think that Shigeru Kawai is voicing their pianos and tuning them a little bit more. By tuning, I mean like the regulation of the action, not the right word to use. But they're regulating their pianos and they're voicing their pianos to be more fitting for that sort of music, for the music that you might play in a concert hall, where you need a lot of power and need a very, very, very fine-tuned piano to play. Again, by tuned, I mean the voicing and the regulation of the action. This piano over here, the older Shigeru, is also very lovely, but it really wouldn't work as well for that type of setting. It doesn't have the power, it doesn't have the projection, but in my mind, it would be the far superior piano to use in a recording session or in a very small ensemble where the tone of the piano is very, very important. When you're playing to a very, very large room, the tone of the piano isn't quite as important at that point as the projection, because you want to be able to hear the piano in all places in the room. When you're playing a small room with only a handful of other instruments, the tone of the piano, in my mind, when I think of it, becomes a little bit more important because it's a little bit more of an intimate setting and you don't need to have an insane amount of volume and projection power when you're only playing with 3 other instruments in a small room as compared with 50 to 75 instruments in a massive room, or perhaps more instruments. So that is where Shigeru Kawai, I feel, is taking their pianos. They're trying to make them more concert hall ready, to be more, more fine-tuned for that type of environment. Whereas before, I feel they were more, focused on being a good recording piano, and that is where the older Shigerus, I think, truly shine. That's why I was very interested at one point in purchasing one. Like I said, that didn't pan out. I have a piano right now that I'm overall very happy with, but at one point I was interested in these, and they do have a very warm tone. So if you're looking for a Shigeru and you want one that has a warm tone, you'd probably be more interested in looking for one that has been lightly used like this one. However, if you like the more Yamaha-esque powerful sound, a new Shigeru, if you're looking for a Shigeru, might very well be the piano for you. I think that's about everything I wanted to talk about in this video, so I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Once again, I wanted to give a big thank you to Kim's Pianos in Stanton, California. That's the piano shop that I'm at here, and they've graciously lent me practically the whole day to come here and film videos. Benjamin Kim, who is the owner of the store, is very awesome. Steve Rivera, who also works here, is a super awesome guy, and they're really friendly, and they have an amazing selection of pianos. Shigeru Kawai isn't the piano for you. They have a large other selection of many other great pianos here that I will do videos on as well. So make sure to stay tuned for that. If you want, you can go check out my channel. I have done many videos here at the store before, and I will have more coming out in the future. So if that sounds interesting, you might want to think about subscribing. And if you do subscribe, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.